Worksheet 36.4 for Algebra 2, Concept 29, the identities, where we're giving things that are not necessarily sine and cosine, but now we're dealing with tangent and cotangent, and then new one cosecant and secant. Number 9, well, first directions. Find the exact value of each expression, simplify if needed. Number 9 is asking for the cosecant of 330 degrees. Remember that the cosecant is 1 over the sine of theta, which is 1 over the y value. So we're taking the y coordinate and just flipping it over. So first we're going to find 330 degrees and find the sine of that. So at 330, there's 330 degrees. The y value is negative 1/2. So we're starting as negative 1/2, but then we have to do the reciprocal. We have to flip that over since it's 1 over that. The reciprocal of that was 2 over 1. The sign won't change, it's still going to be negative. So this one works out nicely. It's just going to be negative 2 for the cosecant of 330 degrees. For number 10, cotangent, and actually 10 and 11 kind of go together. Cotangent is taking the tangent and flipping it. The tangent is putting the y coordinate over the x coordinate. Cotangent is putting the x coordinate over the y coordinate. So for number 10, at pi over 6 radians, there's pi over 6 radians. There's our coordinates, square root 3 over 2, 1 over 2. Since x is going over y, we have to put one big ugly fraction where this is on top over this as the denominator. So we'll have square root 3 over 2 all over 1/2. Now it looks ugly, but the nice thing is, since these two fractions have the same denominator, since they both have the denominator of 2, I can actually just cancel those denominators. And that leaves me with square root 3 over 1. Now technically what you're doing is you're multiplying the top and the bottom by a whole number 2, 2 over 1. But that's one little trick if you can remember, the same denominator can cancel. Square root 3 over 1 divides to give me square root 3. At tangent 210 for number 11, first I find 210 degrees. There's my x coordinate and my y coordinate. This one's going to be a little bit different. Remember, tangent makes you put the y coordinate, the rise, over the x coordinate, the run. So we're going to start with negative 1/2 over negative square root 3 over 2. Now it's the same idea as last time. The same denominators can cancel, so those are gone, which leaves me with, oh, by the way, negative divided by negative is positive. So I've got 1 over square root 3. Now, unfortunately, I can't leave that square root 3 in the denominator. I have to rationalize it. To do that, I multiply both top and bottom by the same square root that's on the bottom, that's in the denominator. Square root 3 over square root 3. When I multiply those straight across, 1 times square root 3 is square root 3. Square root 3 times square root 3 is square root 9. Which leaves me with square root 3 over the square root of 9 is 3. So there is my final answer for number 11, square root 3 over 3. Now the very last one, number 12. Which of the following expressions is not undefined? Now if it's undefined, that means that it's going to have a fraction where 0 is on the bottom. You cannot divide by 0. But if it's not undefined, that means we're looking for one of these that does not have that 0 on the bottom. So first, secant. Now remember that secant takes the cosine, the x value, and flips it over. It's 1 over x. So at pi, let's find pi first. There's pi, 180 degrees. The cosine, the x value, is negative 1, which would start as negative 1 over 1, but if I flip it, it becomes 1 over negative 1. And it says not undefined, not with 0 on the bottom. This does not have 0 on the bottom, so that's got to be my answer. Now I'll check the rest just to make sure that's the right one. And in part B, the CSC means cosecant, which is taking your sine or your y value and flipping it over. So again, we're taking the y coordinate and doing the reciprocal. So at 2 pi, there's 2 pi. The y coordinate is 0, which would start as 0 over 1, but if I flip it over, it becomes 1 over 0. That's undefined. Tangent at 90, there's 90. Tangent, remember, puts the y over the x. So it'd be 1 over 0. That's undefined. Cotangent at 180 puts the x over the y, negative 1 over 0. That's undefined. So part A, choice A, is indeed the only one that does not have 0 on the bottom, which is my choice for number 12.